Hi, this is Kevin Smee, one of the directors of Ginger Group. I'm going to be interviewing Mike Barnes and Tony Vidler, and I'm going to be introducing to you today the Elite Professionals program. This is a program specifically designed by some amazing people. Ginger Group's philosophy has always been care, share and dare. We want to invest into our advisors to make sure that they've got the best businesses going forward. So sit back and spend a little bit of time and just listen to what this content's about. Thanks. So guys, tell me a little bit more about the structure. I'm an advisor, I want to grow, I want to see some big things in my business. What's the structure going to look like?
Well, the structure of the program is built on the basis that each of the sessions are standalone, and the design behind that is so that if for any reason in their own business people can't make a session, they don't fall behind. So to assist that, we also have a number of days that we call effectively catch-up sessions, and we know because there's going to be a certain amount of complexity in some of the material that we go through that people are going to say, look, we need to be able to review that. Can we go through that again? So we've built each of the days is broken into half sessions. Each of the sessions have got quick definable learning points which people will be tested on at the end. So it's very driven, it's very outcome focused, and it's all laid in terms of where we want people to get to, but it's all about making it practical. So there's a lot of interaction, a lot of role play. We would hope a lot of laughter and a lot of fun along the way.
Any comments on that?
Yeah, I think one of the key things that we need to acknowledge with any learning program for self-employed people, with entrepreneurial and creative thinkers, is that people learn in different ways and they learn at different speeds. So what we've tried to do in designing the program is make sure there is sufficient time in the program for people to be able to learn or to be supported in different ways, but also have time to implement the idea. So it's no longer a program where people are just learning a whole bunch of stuff that they then get done with and they have to work out how to use. We're actually going to make sure it's implemented along the way. So there are what we call boot camp, a couple of days sitting in the room together, and that's going to be fairly hardcore. There's some webinars, there's one-to-one coaching stuff. We're doing some online support. There'll be email and resource support that comes through as well. There's the one-day retreats along the way. So there's a range of ways of delivering the information, and we're going to do some of that really dreadful stuff that the advisors hate. We're going to be doing role playing, we're going to be using videos, we're going to be making sure that they can learn how to perfect their skills and they can see how they really work in real life. So there's a real range of style and time to implement and learn and revise so that you're using the stuff successfully.
And I also believe that on part of the new Ginger Group website, we've cornered a corner there for the Elite Professionals program, so as a member you're going to be able to log in there, you're going to be able to watch the follow-up, or if you miss a session, you'll be able to see the video.
Yeah, but you're not going to be able to watch other people's videos of them role playing.
Yeah.
No.
And I think it's important to point out too that we're talking about understanding of information, which is what we refer to as synthesis, and that means the ability to take the information, pull it apart to its component bits and put it back together. So, and that's really critical, because if you want to make something practical, people have got to know enough about when does something not so literally apply, but could cross-apply. And so it's being able to pick up a concept or information and go, actually, that could work here, and that's really that's why we need extra time and the depth in the learning. If I'm a member of an Auckland unit and I'm attending the Auckland workshops, and for some reason I can't make one of those workshops, I do have the option to be able to go down to Hamilton or Christchurch or Wellington and attend one of those sessions of the one that I would have missed, so that I'm not missing out. The cost of doing that's on me, but at least I've got it there as an option as well.
So it's just the travel cost.
Yeah. And one final point, I guess, on that issue of how the course is designed and how it's going to work. We accept and understand, we know it, we live it, we breathe it, we experience it every week ourselves. Business is dynamic, it's changing every week. You know, there's new regulations, new rules, new macroeconomic factors, there's stuff happening all the time. If you're going to reel out a program that's delivered over an 8 to 10 month period, you need to build the capacity into there to respond to changes and evolution. And that's what we have done with this program. It's to make it quite dynamic so that it covers the core, it covers the fundamentals, it gives people the key skills and the key tools that they need, but it's also dynamic enough to evolve as the attendees evolve.
Classic example, Kevin. I went with Tony to Australia. Tony's a guest speaker at a social media conference over there, and the information that we'd already kind of put together for what was going to be our marketing session is now changed because of what I've seen Tony doing and what we've been, what I've been exposed to. So, and it's also very exciting in terms of what we can take to accountants. So I see a huge crossover for advisors to see that if they can make change, they can actually help their strategic alliances, their centre of influence as we move into that space as well.
Because marketing is the classic. I mean, while good, robust advice processes fundamentally don't change that much, the marketing world, the consumers, the target markets, they're changing rapidly. You know, they're changing week by week. And it's almost impossible to predict 12 months out what your core marketing strategy might be for reaching your target market. That's very dynamic.
As an advisor, am I able to have input into the content in some of these sessions so I know that I'm getting tailor-made stuff that I need to put in my business?
The answer is yes to a degree.
Yeah.
Clearly we've got a structure, we've got a range of content which is going to be delivered as part of the program. But within the program itself, there are extensive sessions where it's effectively Q&A, it's open panel, it's us responding to what we've learned from previous sessions from the advisors that they want covered. So we've built gaps into the program so we can respond during the course to how the advisors want the direction to unfold. So yeah, there is that opportunity, but in a structured manner.
Okay.
Bearing in mind each of the webinars, of which there are 4 throughout the period, they are entirely driven by Q&A per group. But the beautiful thing, if we've got a workshop in Auckland and they raise a question which is really powerful, we might still relay that to the Christchurch group, for example, in the Christchurch webinar. So this isn't just going to be per group in isolation. We're going to actually cross-apply the learning as well.
I think the outcome too that a lot of advisors, including me, are going to be looking for is that we have seen unparalleled change in our industry in the last 2 years. The way that we were doing things 2 or 3 or 4 years ago is so different than we're doing now. We have so many other structures and processes, and for most of us who love sales, processes don't fit with us very well. So we need to learn to adapt and build these back into our processes so they actually become a sales tool, not a liability.
I agree entirely, and the phrase that I use over and over is practical professionalism. And I've had this conversation with regulators, and they've been very supportive publicly. You know, there's been a real thrust in the industry over the last few years for increasingly complex tools that are simply a drag on advisors. You know, they're a barrier to doing business, they're a barrier to consumers being engaged, and they're not practical. You know, so it might be a little bit aspirational, but one of the things that I talk about and teach people to try and do is what I call a 4-page statement of advice. Consumers don't want 40 pages of pie charts and crap, and advisors don't want to do it. So let's trim it down, let's make it practical, let's make it effective, let's get people engaged. So a lot of the tools and a lot of the work that we do is really focused on how do we make this work. So be best practice, but make it work.
Kevin, it's interesting, some of the feedback that I've had also is people saying, why are you doing it now? And I think one of the key things, if we take the analogy of the effect that machines and technology had on the blue-collar workers, we now see it attacking white-collar workers. We know there are 17% less accountants in America than there were 5 years ago because of the effects of software, and those similar effects are eating into insurance and legal space also. So what we're actually talking about is we've got a multiple pressure of technology and other industries that are changing, which makes doing it now perfect, because we've never seen compliance from the likes of accountants and lawyers as we are right now, because they've never had the type of pressure on them as they do right now. And this is the chance for professional advisors to position insurance in the way that it ought to be.
Okay. All right, sounds fantastic. So you're all available to have a chat with these guys on phone to see whether they've got some expression of interest in it as well.
Sure.
So the best way to get in contact is hit the link at the bottom of the page.
Yep.
Pretty much. Yep.
All right.
And get one of us. You'll either get Mike, or you'll get Tony, or perhaps Tanya, but you'll get one of us, perhaps Leighton at Ginger. We're all involved in the organisation and delivery and wheeling it out to the Ginger group. So yeah, get in touch.
Okay.
You mentioned growing business. There's 3 reasons people go into business: time, control, money. Normally what happens is business takes control of them, sucks up their time and gives them no money. So if we want to get that freedom back, we have to get control over the things that we can control.
Yes.
And so that's what this program's about, is giving you the skills and the information in areas that you can make change in your own rate, in your own space. Everybody's business is going to need different priorities. Everybody's going to need to be able to make change at a different rate. But it's getting the information in one compact, concise manner so that you can then improve your business in your own way, in your own time, but with help.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thanks for taking the time so I can talk to you guys. Cheers.
Thanks, Kevin.